Say it again louder. Who here thinks a woman in 7C can't handle first-class turbulence? The seatbelt sign chimes. The drink cart slams into a bulkhead. In 18 minutes, nobody's laughing. But right now they are. Grant Harlan adjusts his Patek Philippe, $18,000 on his wrist, another 18 for the seat beneath him, and smirks as he steps past row 7. He's on his way back from the first-class lavatory, where even the soap smells like privilege. His wife Vanessa trails behind her, Hermes carry-on, bumping against seatbacks. Grant pauses, glances down at 7C, a black woman, mid-30s, gray hoodie faded at the elbows, jeans that have seen better years, hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, no product, no fuss, no jewelry, no designer, anything. Eyes closed, breathing slow. Grant turns to Vanessa, voice just loud enough. This is why I pay extra. Don't want to sit near that. Vanessa doesn't respond. She never does when he gets like this. But a few passengers nearby hear. A couple in row 8 exchange glances. A man in 9D smirks into his phone. The woman in 7C opens her eyes. Not slowly, not groggily. Instantly. Like someone trained to wake up ready. She looks at Grant. Doesn't blink. Doesn't frown. Just looks. He holds her gaze for half a second, then moves on chuckling to himself. Behind him, someone else laughs. Brad Finch, row 12A influencer, 2.1 million followers, lifts his phone and starts recording. Economy class vibes. He mutters into the camera, panning across rows 7 through 10. He zooms in on the woman in 7C. She's closed her eyes again. Flying international, and you can't even afford business. That's rough. The woman doesn't react. Her chest rises and falls. Steady. Mechanical almost. But her eyes flick open again just for a second and scan the cabin. Not the people. The exits. The overwing door to her left, 13 rows back. The aft galley. The cockpit door far ahead. Then she closes them again. Nobody notices, except one man. Harold Peterson, row 12C, 67 years old, U.S. Navy retired. He's been watching her since boarding. The way she walked down the aisle, shoulders square, weight balanced. The way she stowed her bag, one smooth motion, no wasted effort. The way she sat spine, straight feet, flat hands resting on her thighs, like she's waiting for a briefing. Harold leans toward his wife, whispers, "That woman, she moves like Navy." His wife shushes him. Harold not everyone's military. But Harold keeps watching. The Boeing 747 levels off at 38,000 feet. The Atlantic stretches dark and endless below. The cabin lights dim. Most passengers settle in movies. Books sleep. The woman in 7C breathes. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, fighter pilot cadence. Harold knows it. He flew Hornets for 22 years. But Grant Harlan, Brad Finch, Vanessa. The couple in 8B, they see a tired black woman in economy. Nothing more. The turbulence hasn't started yet. But it's coming. Her name is Keisha Washington, but nobody here knows that. To them, she's just another face in a sea of passengers. Unremarkable. Invisible. She prefers it that way. The flight attendant, Paige Scott, 32 lead attendant, 12 years with the airline, stops beside row 7. Smiles politely. "Can I get you anything? Water, juice?" Keisha opens her eyes. "Water, please. No ice." Paige nods and moves on. Keisha watches her go. Notes the slight limp in her right leg. Old injury, maybe a twisted ankle that never healed right. Notes the way Paige scans the cabin every 30 seconds, counting heads, checking seatbelts. Good habits. Paige takes her job seriously. Kesha respects that. She unscrews the water bottle cap with her right hand. The motion is automatic efficient. But when her fingers wrap around the plastic, the overhead light catches something calluses, thick ones running along the edge of her index finger and thumb. The kind you don't get from typing or lifting groceries. The kind you get from gripping a control stick for 500 hours. Harold sees it from 4 rows back. He's pretending to read a Tom Clancy novel, but his eyes keep drifting forward. That hand, those calluses. He's seen them before on himself, on squadron mates, on every pilot who's logged serious hours in high-performance aircraft. Keisha drinks, sets the bottle in the seat pocket, adjusts her seatbelt, and that's when Harold notices the second thing. She doesn't just pull the belt tight across her lap. She checks the anchor points left, right, center, runs her fingers along the webbing, feeling for wear. Then she tugs it snug exactly 3 inches below her navel, the way you do when you're used to a 5-point harness, the way you do when your life has depended on that belt holding under 9 Gs. Nobody else sees it. The man in 7D is asleep. The woman in 7E is watching a rom-com on her screen. But Harold sees it. And in the back of his mind, a question starts to form. Who is she? Up in business class, Dr. Catherine Reed flips through a medical journal. 50-years-old chief of cardiothoracic surgery at Johns Hopkins. She's on her way to a conference in London, keynote speaker, cardiovascular trauma in combat zones. She's tired. 14-hour days, back-to-back surgeries, a hospital bureaucracy that never sleeps. She glances up out of habit, scanning the cabin. It's something she does. Always looking for the person who might need help. The passenger turning pale. The kid with the EpiPen. The elderly man clutching his chest. Her eyes sweep past first-class Grant Harlan, scrolling through his phone, scowling at something. Vanessa flipping through Vogue. A couple in their 60s holding hands. Then past the galley into economy. Rows 6, 7, 8. She pauses. The woman in 7C, something about her, the stillness, the way she's sitting upright, alert, even with her eyes closed. Not sleeping, not relaxing, waiting. Dr. Reed has seen that posture before, in military hospitals, in trauma bays. Soldiers who've learned to rest without ever fully letting their guard down. She makes a mental note, then returns to her journal. Walter Kane, row 10A. 60-years-old retired Boeing engineer adjusts his laptop screen and squints at a spreadsheet. 30 years designing hydraulic systems for 747s. He knows these planes inside and out, knows how they fly, how they fail, how they're held together by physics and luck. He glances up at the cabin ceiling, listening. The engines hum, steady, normal. He nods to himself, satisfied. His wife taps his arm. "Walter, relax, we're fine." "I know," he mutters, but he listens anyway. Always does. Kesha shifts in her seat, crosses her right ankle over her left, uncrosses them, stretches her fingers. On her right wrist, just below the cuff of her hoodie, there's a scar, thin, pale against her brown skin. Maybe 2 inches long. It runs horizontal, precise. Ejection seat injury. 2017, training accident. The canopy blew, the rocket fired. The seat launched her clear, but the harness buckle caught her wrist on the way out, tore the skin clean open. 14 stitches, 3 weeks of desk duty. She was back in the cockpit the day her medical clearance came through. Nobody here knows that. They see a scar and think kitchen accident maybe. Car door, something mundane, but Harold. He sees the placement, the angle, and he knows. He leans closer to his wife, whispers again, "I'm telling you, Jean, that woman's a pilot." Jean sighs. "Harold, please." But Harold can't let it go, because now he's watching everything. The way Keisha's eyes track the flight attendants. The way she glances at the ceiling when the engines shift, pitch subtle, just a slight change in throttle, but she hears it. The way her fingers drum once, twice on her armrest, counting something. Fuel burn. Time to destination. He doesn't know, but he wants to. Vanessa Harlan, up in first class, leans over to her husband. "Grant, do you think we'll hit weather?" The captain mentioned a system. Grant waves dismissively. "Sweetheart, I've flown through worse. Last year, flying private from Monaco, we hit turbulence that would have grounded a commercial pilot. My guy handled it like a champ. Your guy? My brother-in-law's pilot. I've logged 200 hours with him. I know aviation. Vanessa nods. She believes him. She always does. But in 7C, Kesha hears every word. The cabin's quiet enough, and she's been trained to listen through noise radio chatter, engine roar, the scream of afterburners, picking out one arrogant voice. Easy. She doesn't smile, doesn't react, just files it away. 200 hours, passenger seat, private jet. That's not flying, that's tourism. But she doesn't say it, doesn't need to. The sky will say it for her. It always does. The first bump comes at 39 minutes into the flight. Not violent, just a shudder. The kind that makes passengers glance up then go back to their screens. The seatbelt sign stays off. Kesha's eyes open. She doesn't look at her phone, doesn't check the monitor. She looks at the wings. Through the window, she can see the port wingtip steady, flexing slightly with the airframe. Normal. But the flex pattern is wrong. Too quick, too sharp. Wind shear. Early stage. She shifts her gaze to the ceiling. Counts. 1, 2, 3. Another bump. Harder this time. A woman 2 rows up gasps. A child starts crying. The intercom clicks on. Captain Mitchell's voice calm, seasoned. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. We're encountering some light chop as we cross a weather front. Nothing to worry about, but I'm going to turn the seatbelt sign back on as a precaution. Flight attendants, please take your seats. The sign chimes. Ding. Paige Scott moves quickly down the aisle, checking belts, stowing loose items. She's good, efficient. But Kesha can see the tension in her shoulders. Paige doesn't like turbulence. Most attendants don't. Grant Harlan looks up from his phone, irritated. Are you serious? This is unacceptable for a transatlantic flight. Vanessa touches his arm. Grant, it's just a little bump. A little bump? We paid $18,000 for these seats. I expect smooth air. A few passengers nearby glance over. Nobody says anything. But the man in 2C, mid-40s, British accent mutters, "Good luck buying weathermate." Grant doesn't hear him, or pretends not to. The plane bumps again. Harder. The overhead bins rattle. Somewhere in economy a drink spills. Someone curses. Keisha's breathing doesn't change. In for 4. Hold. Out for 4. She's counting the interval between bumps. 11 seconds, then 9, then 7. The shear is tightening. Harold notices. He's watching her again. The way her eyes track the ceiling, the way her fingers tap her thigh once per bump. She's not nervous. She's measuring. He leans forward, catches her eye. Mouths. You feel it too. Kesha meets his gaze, holds it for a beat, then nods. Once? Barely. Harold sits back. His heart rate picks up. Not from fear, from recognition. She's not just a pilot. She's a good pilot. The intercom clicks again. This time, it's not the captain. It's the co-pilot. Younger voice. Nervous edge. Folks, this is First Officer James Wilson. We're going to try to climb above this weather. Might get a little bumpy for the next few minutes, but we'll have you back in smooth air shortly. Thank you for your patience. James Wilson. 29 years old. 3,000 hours total time. 500 on the 747. This is his second transatlantic crossing as first officer. He's good, competent, but not seasoned. Not yet. Keisha hears the hesitation in his voice, the slight crack when he says bumpy. He's more worried than he's letting on. She glances at the window again. The clouds outside are darkening. Not black, but close, thick, layered. The kind that don't show up clean on radar because they're not convective not yet. But they will be. Another bump. This one tilts the plane 5 degrees left. Gasps ripple through the cabin. A tray table flips down. A phone skitters into the aisle. Grant stands up. I need to speak to the crew. Paige appears instantly, hand on his shoulder. Sir, please sit down. The seatbelt sign is on. I'm aware, but I need to let them know this is unacceptable. I've flown in private jets across Europe, luxury jets, and I've never experienced turbulence like this. Page's smile is professional, strained. Sir, turbulence is a natural part of flying. The pilots are handling it. Please sit down. Grant doesn't sit. He looks past her toward the cockpit. I know aviation. I've logged over 200 hours. I know when something's off. Keisha, 4 rows back, closes her eyes. 200 hours. Passenger. Harold catches her expression, the tiniest twitch of her jaw. If he didn't know better, he'd call it a suppressed smile. But it's not amusement. It's something else. Pity, maybe, or resignation. Because she knows what's coming. She can feel it in the airframe in the way the turbulence is shifting from random to rhythmic. She can hear it in the engine pitch, subtle but there. The pilots are adjusting thrust, trying to smooth the ride. It won't work. Grant finally sits muttering. Vanessa pats his hand. The plane shudders again. Longer this time. 5 seconds of sustained shake. Keisha opens her eyes, and for the first time she looks directly at the cockpit door. She doesn't say anything, doesn't move, but in her mind she's already counting. Fuel load, altitude, distance to nearest divert, wind speed, glide ratio, all the things a passenger would never think about, all the things a fighter pilot never stops thinking about. The shear hits like a fist. The plane drops, not a bump, a drop, 10 feet in half a second. Stomachs lurch, screams erupt. Overhead bins pop open. A suitcase tumbles out, crashes into the aisle. Keisha doesn't grab the armrest, doesn't brace. She moves with it, body loose spine, straight core, engaged, like a boxer riding a punch. The plane drops, and she drops with it, perfectly synchronized. Harold sees it. His knuckles are white on his armrest, his breath held, but he's watching her. And what he sees makes no sense. She's not scared. She's reading it. The plane jerks left, hard. 30-degree bank. More screams. The cabin tilts. Bags slide. A flight attendant stumbles, catches herself on a seat back. Kesha shifts her weight. Right leg braced, left relaxed. Counterbalancing. The way you do when you've flown through worse than weather, when you've flown through combat where turbulence is the least of your problems. The plane rights itself. Slowly. The engines roar louder, pilots adding power, trying to muscle through. Kesha's eyes don't leave the wings. She's watching the flex. The way the metal bends absorbs the stress. It's within limits. Barely. But the pattern is wrong. The oscillation is too fast. She glances at the ceiling again. Counts. 6 seconds. 4. 3. The interval is collapsing. Her lips move. Silent. But Harold is close enough to see. Squawk 77. She stops. Shakes her head slightly. Mouths, not yet. Harold's heart pounds. Squawk 7700. Emergency transponder code. Every pilot knows it. Every pilot dreads it. She knows it by heart. Of course she does. But why would she say it? They're just hitting turbulence. Uncomfortable, yes. Scary for civilians, sure. But not an emergency. Unless she sees something he doesn't. Paige Scott pulls herself down the aisle, checking passengers. Her face is pale. She's been doing this for 12 years, and she's never felt turbulence like this. Not this sustained, not this angry. She reaches row 7, glances at Keisha. You okay? Kesha nods. Calm. Too calm. Paige hesitates. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. You're not scared at all. Keisha meets her eyes. Should I be? Paige doesn't know how to answer that. She moves on. But she's unnerved, because she's seen passengers handle turbulence 100 ways, white-knuckled, praying, crying, laughing it off. But this woman, she's observing, like she's taking notes. Another jolt. This one snaps heads back. A man in row 15 vomits into a bag. A woman sobs. Brad Finch is filming phone-shaking voice breathless. This is insane. We're getting destroyed up here. Grant Harlan's face is gray. Vanessa is gripping his arm, eyes shut tight. Walter Kane, the engineer, is staring at the ceiling, listening to the groan of the airframe. He knows these planes. He knows their limits, and they're not close to those limits yet. But the sound. He doesn't like the sound. The intercom clicks. James Wilson again. His voice is tight now. Folks, we're working on getting above this. Might be another few minutes. Please remain seated and keep your seatbelts fastened. His voice cracks on fastened. Keisha closes her eyes. In for 4. Hold. Out for 4. She's not praying. She's calculating. Altitude 39,000. Wind speed estimated 120 knots, gusting higher. Fuel probably 60% remaining enough for 3 hours. Nearest divert Shannon, Ireland. 200 nautical miles northeast. She doesn't need instruments to know this. She can feel it. The way the plane moves, the way the engines strain, the way the air outside fights every inch of forward progress. This isn't just turbulence. This is a storm, and it's building. Harold leans forward again, catches her eye. Mouths. What do you see? Kesha looks at him. Really looks. She sees a man who knows. A man who's been there. She mouths back. Wind shear. Vertical. It's going to get worse. Harold's face goes pale. Because if she's right, and he thinks she is, then they're not flying through a storm. They're flying into one. The plane doesn't stabilize. If anything, it gets worse. Another drop. Harder than the last. The kind that makes your spine compress your vision blur. People are screaming now. Not gasps, not yelps, but full-throated screams. A child in row 20 wails. His mother clutches him, whispering prayers in Spanish. In business class, Dr. Catherine Reed closes her journal. She stopped pretending to read. Her trained eyes scan the cabin, looking for signs of panic that might escalate. Heart attacks happen in moments like this. Strokes, hyperventilation. But then she sees something that makes her pause. In the galley visible through the gap between curtains, a flight attendant is hunched over. Not from turbulence, from pain. She's pressing a hand to her chest. Her face is pale, slick with sweat. Dr. Reed unbuckles, stands. The plane pitches, and she grabs a seat back to steady herself. "Ma'am, please sit down," another attendant calls out. "I'm a doctor," Dr. Reed says, already moving. "Someone's in distress." She pushes through the curtain. The attendant, young mid-20s, is leaning against the galley counter, breathing in short, shallow gasps. "When did this start?" Dr. Reed asks, taking her wrist, checking her pulse. 10 minutes ago," the attendant whispers. "I thought it was just anxiety, but it's not." Dr. Reed's face hardens. "We need to get the captain." And that's when they hear it. A thud, heavy, metallic, from behind the cockpit door. Everyone freezes. Another thud. Then a groan, low, guttural. The intercom clicks. James Wilson's voice panicked now. "Medical emergency. Anyone with medical training, please identify yourself immediately." Dr. Reed is already moving. She pounds on the cockpit door. "I'm a physician. Let me in." The lock disengages. The door swings open. Inside, Captain Mitchell is slumped in his seat, head lolling. His face is gray. His right hand clutches his chest. His left hand is still on the yoke, but it's slack, shaking. James Wilson is in the right seat, hands frozen on the controls, eyes wide. He grabbed his chest, and I don't know what to do. Dr. Reed pushes past him, kneeling beside the captain. She checks his pulse. Weak. Irregular. She pulls back his eyelids, pupils dilated, unresponsive. "Cardiac episode," she says. "Possibly myocardial infarction. We need to get him out of this seat. Now." James stammers, "But who's going to fly?" "You are," Dr. Reed snaps. "Right now, you're all we have." She drags Mitchell out of the captain's seat with help from Page, who's appeared at the door. They lay him on the floor of the galley. Dr. Reed begins chest compressions. Hard, fast, counting aloud. In the cockpit, James Wilson stares at the controls. His hands hover over the yoke. He's flown this plane before, hundreds of hours, but always with a captain beside him, always with backup. Now he's alone. The turbulence slams the plane again. The autopilot disconnects with a harsh beep. James grabs the yoke, pulls back, overcorrects. The nose pitches up. The airspeed drops. The stall warning chirps once, twice. He shoves the yoke forward, too hard. The nose drops. The plane dives. Passengers scream. Shit, James hisses. He levels it out barely. His hands are shaking. Sweat drips into his eyes. Paige leans into the cabin. Her voice is steady, but her eyes are terrified. We need help. Anyone with aviation experience, please identify yourself. Silence. Then Grant Harlan stands up. I can help. Every head turns. Grant smooths his jacket steps into the aisle. His voice is loud, confident. I have over 200 hours of flight experience. I've flown in private jets all over Europe, Gulfstream's Challengers. I know cockpit procedures. I can assist. Vanessa grabs his arm. Grant, are you sure? Sweetheart, I've been in more cockpits than most commercial pilots. I'll be fine. Paige hesitates. Sir, we need military aviation experience. Someone who's trained for, I'm trained, Grant interrupts. Trained enough, and right now I'm your only option. He pushes past her into the cockpit. James looks up desperate. You know how to fly? I've flown with professionals, Grant says, sliding into the captain's seat. He looks at the instruments. His confidence wavers just for a second because there are more screens, more switches, more alarms than he's ever seen in a Gulfstream. But he doesn't back down. He can't. Not in front of everyone. Just tell me what to do, he says. James exhales, relieved. Okay. We need to maintain heading 270, altitude 39,000, speed 280 knots. Grant nods, puts his hands on the yoke, feels the vibration, the resistance. It's heavier than he expected, less responsive. Why isn't it smoother? He asks. Because we're in a storm, James says, and autopilot's offline. We're hand flying. Grant swallows. His palms are slick. This is nothing like a Gulfstream. In the cabin, Keisha is still sitting, still breathing, still watching. She saw Grant stand, saw him walk to the cockpit, saw the door close behind him, and now she's counting. 1, 2, 3. The plane wobbles, overcorrects, wobbles again. 4, 5, 6. Grant is over-controlling. Classic civilian mistake. Chasing the yoke instead of anticipating. 7, 8. The turbulence isn't smoothing out. It's getting worse, and Grant is making it worse. Harold sees it too. He leans forward, voice urgent. That man is going to kill us. His wife grips his hand. Harold, stop. I'm serious. He doesn't know what he's doing. Kesha opens her eyes, looks at Harold. Their gazes lock. She nods. Once. You're right. And then she stands. Keisha steps into the aisle. The plane lurches, but she doesn't stumble. Her legs adjust automatically, knees bent, weight centered. She moves forward. Grant Harlan's voice crackles over the intercom, forced calm. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, Grant Harlan assisting the flight crew. We're working to get you through this. Please remain seated. A few passengers exchange looks. Who the hell is Grant Harlan Brad Finch is filming? His live stream has 4,000 viewers now. This is wild, some random guy is flying the plane. Keisha reaches the cockpit. Paige is standing outside, pale, shaking. Miss, you need to sit down. I need to get in there, Kesha says quietly. Paige blinks. I'm sorry, what? The cockpit. Let me in. Ma'am, we have someone assisting the co-pilot. I know. And he's making it worse. Paige stares at her. How do you? Because I can feel it. Every overcorrection, every wobble, he's chasing the yoke. He's going to stall us. Paige's breath catches. Who are you? Before Keisha can answer, Grant appears in the doorway. His face is flushed, his collar damp with sweat. He looks at Kesha, really looks, and his lip curls. "Where do you think you're going?" "Cockpit," Keisha says evenly. Grant laughs, short, sharp. "Based on what? Your economy ticket?" A few passengers nearby are listening now. Brad swivels his camera. "Based on 500 hours flying F-22 Raptors," Kesha says. "Expert in extreme weather navigation. Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force." The cabin goes silent. Grant stares at her. Then he laughs again, louder this time. "You've got to be kidding me." "I'm not." "Show me your credentials," Grant demands. "Prove it." Keisha doesn't move. "I don't carry my military ID off duty." "Convenient," Grant sneers. He looks around, raising his voice. "Everyone hear that she wants us to trust our lives to someone who claims to be military but has zero proof." Murmurs ripple through the cabin. Walter Kane, the engineer, calls out, "She does look awfully young." Vanessa, still in her seat, adds, "We need someone qualified." Not just someone who says they are. Brad's livestream chat explodes. "No way she's military. Economy Karen thinks she can fly LMAO. This is fake." Grant crosses his arms. "I'm not betting my life or anyone else's on a fantasy." Keisha stands there, silent. Her face is calm. No anger, no frustration. Just waiting. Because she knows something they don't. People believe what they want to believe. And right now, they want to believe the man in the expensive suit. The man who looks like authority. The man who sounds confident. Not the black woman in a hoodie. Harold Peterson stands up. His voice is loud, firm. "I flew Navy Hornets for 22 years. That woman has every marker of a military pilot, the way she moves, the way she breathes, the way she's reading this turbulence. Let her through." Grant waves him off. "You're guessing, old man. I'm not going to risk 300 lives on a guess." "And I'm not risking them on a tourist," Harold snaps back. Grant's face reddens. "I have 200 hours of experience. As a passenger," Keisha says quietly. Grant whirls on her. "What did you say? You sat in a Gulf Stream. You watched someone else fly. That's not experience. That's sightseeing." The cabin holds its breath. Grant steps closer. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Kesha doesn't flinch. "Someone trying to save your life. By lying, by pretending to be military." "I'm not pretending." "Then prove it," Grant hisses. Kesha looks past him into the cockpit. James Wilson is staring at her, his face a mask of desperation. The instruments behind him are flashing red. The altitude is fluctuating. The speed is dropping. She looks back at Grant. "In 90 seconds, this aircraft stalls. You can verify my credentials after we land if you let me land us." Grant doesn't move. "No, absolutely not." Walter Kane stands now, uncertain. Maybe we should wait. We don't know who she is." A woman in row 9 calls out, "She could be anyone." Another voice. "We need proof." Brad's camera swings from face to face. His viewers are eating it up. "This is insane. Who is she?" "Grant, don't let her in." Paige looks between them, torn. "Mr. Harlan, please." "No," Grant says again, louder. "I'm protecting everyone from an imposter." He steps back into the cockpit, slams the door. Keisha stands there, doesn't move, doesn't argue. She just looks at the door, then at Paige, then at Harold. Harold shakes his head, furious. "This is insane." Keisha exhales slowly. He's scared. People make bad decisions when they're scared. "So what do we do?" Keisha glances at the ceiling. The plane shudders again. Harder. The engines whine. The nose pitches down. She closes her eyes. In for 4. Hold. Out for 4. "We wait," she says. "For what?" "For it to get worse." Inside the cockpit, Grant is gripping the yoke like his life depends on it. Because it does. "What's that alarm?" he asks, voice tight. James glances at the panel. Altitude deviation. We're descending too fast. I thought we needed to descend. Not like this. Pull back gently. Grant pulls. The nose comes up. Too much. The airspeed drops. The stall warning chirps. Not that much, James shouts. Level off. Grant shoves the yoke forward. The nose drops. The plane plummets 200 feet in 3 seconds. Passengers scream. James takes over, grabbing his yoke. Let me... I've got it, Grant snaps. But he doesn't. Not really. The radio crackles. United 447, this is Gander Center. We're showing rapid altitude changes. Confirm status. James keys the mic, voice shaking. Gander United 447, we have a medical emergency. Captain is incapacitated. We're managing. Request priority handling. Copy 447. What's your current condition? James looks at the instruments, then at Grant. Then at the weather radar, a solid mass of red and yellow stretching for miles. We're in Category 5 turbulence, James says. Autopilot offline. Radar it's not giving us clean returns. We're flying partially blind. There's a pause. Then 447 advise if you need to divert. Shannon and Reykjavik are available, but both are reporting marginal conditions. High winds, low visibility. James swallows. Gander will continue to destination unless conditions worsen. Another pause. Longer this time. 447. Be advised magnetic storm activity is affecting GPS accuracy in your area. Deviation up to 12 nautical miles. Recommend reverting to INS navigation. James's blood runs cold. GPS unreliable. Radar compromised. And a captain who can't fly. Copy Gander, he says quietly. He looks at Grant. Did you catch that? Grant nods, but his face is pale. What's INS? Inertial Navigation System. It's older tech, less accurate. We'll have to dead reckon our position. Dead reckon? Grant's voice cracks. You mean, guess, no? Calculate. But it's not easy. Grant stares at the instruments. There are too many, too much data. His hands are shaking. I can't do this, he whispers. James looks at him. What? I said I can't do this. I thought I could, but... Grant's voice trails off. This is nothing like a Gulf Stream. James's chest tightens. You told me you had experience. I do. I've flown. I've been in cockpits. That's not the same thing, James says, barely keeping his voice steady. That's not even close to the same thing. Grant doesn't respond. He just sits there frozen. The plane shudders again. The fire warning light flashes engine 2. James's eyes go wide. No. No, no, no. What is it? Grant asks, panicked. Engine fire. We have to shut it down. What? James doesn't explain. He's already moving hands, flying over switches. Fuel cutoff. Fire suppression. The engine spools down and the plane lifts slightly to the right. Are we going to crash? Grant whispers. Not if I can help it, James says. But his voice is hollow. Because he's never flown a 747 on one engine. Not in a storm. Not with degraded navigation. Not alone. He keys the mic again. Gander United 447. We've shut down engine 2 due to fire indication. Single engine ops. Request immediate vectors to nearest suitable airport. The controller's voice is tense now. 4BC7 copy single engine. Nearest airport with Cat 3 capability is Shannon 200 miles northeast, but conditions are deteriorating. Winds gusting to 50 knots. Visibility 1 mile. James closes his eyes. Shannon. In a storm. Single engine. With a civilian sitting in the captain's seat. Gander will take it. Request vector. 447 fly. Heading 090. Descend and maintain flight level 280. James repeats the instructions, turns the plane, begins the descent. Grant is silent. Useless. And in the cabin, 312 people are praying. Keisha is still standing in the aisle. She's been listening to everything. The radio calls the engine shutdown, the panic in James's voice. She looks at Paige. Tell the co-pilot Squawk 7700, declare Mayday request military frequency 121.5 for weather guidance. Paige blinks. What? Squawk 7700. It's the emergency transponder code. If he switches to 121.5, he can reach Andrews Air Force Base. They have better weather data than civilian ATC. They can guide him through. Paige stares at her. How do you know that? Keisha doesn't answer. She just waits. Paige hesitates, then runs to the cockpit. Pounds on the door. It opens a crack. She relays the message. James listens, then nods. Okay, I'll try. He reaches for the transponder dials in 7700, then switches the radio frequency to 121.5. Andrews Air Force Base. This is United 447 squawking 7700. Request weather guidance. We're single-engine IMC conditions, GPS degraded. Over. Static. Then a crisp, authoritative voice. United 4047 Andrews Air Force Base. We copy your Mayday. Stand by for weather update. 10 seconds. Then 447, be advised you're flying into the southern edge of a rapidly intensifying low-pressure system. Winds at your altitude are 120 knots, gusting to 160. Recommend immediate descent to flight level 250 to avoid worst of the wind shear. James exhales. Andrews descending to 250. Thank you. He pulls the throttle back, eases the yoke forward. The plane descends, slowly. The turbulence eases just slightly. Not gone, but better. Grant is slumped in his seat, head in his hands. James glances at him, then keys the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we've established contact with military air traffic control. They're providing enhanced weather guidance. We're descending to smoother air. Thank you for your patience. In the cabin, a few passengers exhale. Some clap weakly. Others are too scared to react. Harold looks at Keisha. That was you. She doesn't deny it. You just saved us, he says. Not yet, Keisha replies quietly. We're still flying single engine into a storm. And he's still up there. She nods toward the cockpit. Harold's face darkens. Then what do we do? Keisha sits down, fastens her seatbelt. We wait for the second failure. What second failure? Keisha looks at him. Her eyes are steady, calm. There's always a second failure. Up in first class, Grant stumbles back to his seat. His hands are still shaking. Vanessa looks at him worried. Grant, are you okay? He doesn't answer. He just sits staring at nothing. Vanessa leans closer. You helped, didn't you? You helped them. Grant laughs, bitter, hollow. No, I didn't help. I made it worse. What are you talking about? I don't know how to fly, he whispers. I lied. Vanessa pulls back. You lied. I've been in cockpits. I've watched, but I've never flown. I thought, he trails off. I thought it would be enough. Vanessa says nothing. She just stares at him horrified. And in the back of the cabin, Brad Finch is reading his live stream chat. The comments are brutal. Grant lied. He almost killed everyone. The woman was right. Brad swallows, lowers his phone. For the first time, he's not smiling. Keisha closes her eyes. The plane is steadier now. Not smooth. Nothing about this flight will be smooth but manageable. For the moment, she can feel the change in the cabin, the collective exhale, the tentative hope. But she knows better. She knows the storm isn't done. She knows the second engine is under strain. She knows the fuel is burning faster than it should because they're hand flying, not letting the computer optimize. And she knows that in a few minutes, maybe less, something else is going to break. It always does. Harold is watching her again. He sees the way she's sitting alert, but not tense. Ready, but not afraid. It's the posture of someone who's been here before. Someone who's survived worse. You really are military, aren't you? He says quietly. Keisha opens her eyes. looks at him. 22 years Navy. Hornets. You, Raptors. Harold whistles low. F-22. Damn, you're the real deal. So are you. They sit in silence for a moment. Two pilots, two veterans, both knowing what's coming. Harold leans back, closes his eyes. If we make it out of this, we will, Kesha says. How do you know? She doesn't answer right away. Then, because I don't leave people behind. Harold smiles faintly. Semper Fi, Colonel. Hoo-ah, Keisha replies. And somewhere 4,000 miles away, a teenager in Ohio is watching Brad Finch's live stream. She's glued to her screen, heart-pounding, wondering how this ends, wondering if the woman in 7C is really who she says she is, wondering if heroes still exist. If you're sitting there heart-racing, wondering what happens next, whether Kesha gets into that cockpit, whether she proves them all wrong, hit that like button and subscribe. Because what's coming next, you won't believe it, and you won't want to miss a single second. The calm lasts 4 minutes. Then the second engine begins to fail. It starts with a vibration. Subtle. Most passengers don't notice, but Kesha feels it in her seat. A low-frequency hum that shouldn't be there. She opens her eyes, looks at the wing. The engine is still running, but the exhaust plume is darker, uneven. No, she whispers. Harold sits up. What? Engine 1. It's surging. How can you tell? I can feel it. And then, as if the universe is listening, the fire alarm screams through the cabin. Ding, 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 ding. Red lights flash. The intercom clicks on. James Wilson's voice barely holding together. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an engine fire indication on engine 1. We're shutting it down as a precaution. Please remain calm. Remain calm. The cabin explodes. Passengers scream. Children wail. A man in row 18 shouts, "We're going to die." Brad's livestream chat. Both engines. This is it. Oh my God. The plane tilts 15 degrees to the right. Without thrust, the nose drops. The airspeed bleeds off. James is fighting the yoke, trying to keep it level. But he's losing. The stall warning chirps. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Andrews United. 447. We've lost both engines. We're in glide, requesting immediate emergency landing clearance. The controller's voice. 447 nearest airport is Shannon 180 miles. Can you make it? James looks at the instruments. Altitude 28,000 feet. Distance 180 miles. Glide ratio 17:1. He does the math. They'll come up short by a lot. Negative Andrews. We won't make Shannon. 447. What are your intentions? James doesn't answer. Because he doesn't know. In the cabin, chaos. People are crying, texting loved ones, hyperventilating. Oxygen masks drop from the ceiling. Thunk, 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 swinging like nooses. Dr. Reed is still working on Captain Mitchell. She looks up, sees the masks, realizes what's happening. We're going down, she says aloud. To no one. To everyone. Grant Harlan is sobbing in first class. Vanessa is staring at him disgusted. You did this, she hisses. You lied. Walter Kane is gripping his wife's hand, whispering, I love you, I love you, I love you. Brad is filming, tears streaming. If anyone's watching, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of it. And in 7C, Kesha stands. She doesn't run. She walks. Steady. Calm. Like she's walking into a briefing, not a cockpit. Paige sees her. Miss, you need to move, Kesha says. Not loud, not harsh, just absolute. Paige steps aside. Kesha reaches the cockpit. The door is closed. She pounds once, twice. Open the door. James doesn't respond. He's too busy trying to keep the nose up. Kesha pounds again, harder. James Wilson, open the door now. Inside, James hears her. He looks at the door, then at Grant, who's curled up in the captain's seat, useless. Who is that? James asks. The woman, Grant whispers. The one who said she was Air Force. James's hand hovers over the lock. What if she's lying? Then we're dead anyway, Grant says. James unlocks the door. Keisha steps in. She takes one look at Grant, broken sobbing, and says, "Get out of the seat." Grant doesn't argue. He stumbles out, collapses against the bulkhead. Keisha slides into the captain's seat, adjusts it, straps in. Her hands move over the controls, quick, precise, no hesitation. James stares at her. "Can you actually fly this?" Keisha doesn't look at him. Her eyes are scanning the instruments. Airspeed 210 knots, altitude 26,000 feet, descent rate 1,800 feet per minute, fuel 42%. She does the math in 3 seconds. "James," she says calmly, "hands off the yoke. I need you to listen very carefully." "Are you really hands off?" James lets go. Kesha takes over. The yoke feels familiar. Heavy, yes. Different from a fighter jet, but not alien. She pulls back slightly, eases the nose up. The descent rate slows. 1,600 feet per minute, 1,400. "What's your fuel status?" she asks. 42%, maybe 3,000 pounds. Enough for one restart attempt, maybe two. James blinks. Restart. "We're going to relight an engine. In a glide, that's possible, if we do it right." She glances at him. "You with me?" James swallows, nods. But before Keisha can say another word, the cockpit door slams open. Grant Harlan is standing there, red-faced, furious. "You are not taking over this plane without verification." Keisha doesn't turn. "Get out." "I will not let you. Get out." Walter Kane appears behind Grant. "He's right. We need proof." Then Vanessa. "You could be anyone." Then Brad filming. "This is insane. She has no credentials." And then the voice that cuts through all of it. Harold Peterson. "All of you shut up." He pushes through stands in the doorway, looks at Kesha, then at the instruments, then back at her. "Colonel," he says quietly, "do what you need to do." Keisha nods once. "Thank you." She keys the mic. Andrews United 4 Warsaw 7. This is Lieutenant Colonel Kesha Washington, callsign Spectre, taking command of this aircraft. Request immediate priority handling and weather update. Silence. Then, say again, 447. "Did you say Spectre?" "Affirmative." Another pause. Longer. Then a different voice. Older female, authoritative. "Spectre? This is Commander Rodriguez Andrews Air Traffic Control. Confirm your identity. What was your last deployment? Operation Tempest Shield 2019, Afghanistan. How many saves? 17. A sharp intake of breath. Spectre. We thought you were off-grid. I was. I'm not anymore. Copy that. Spectre, you have absolute priority. All airspace is yours. What do you need? Keisha's hands are steady on the yoke. I need vectors to the eye of this storm, and I need Dover Air Force Base on standby. Foam the runway. I'm bringing this bird in dead stick if I have to. Spectre, that's a 747. You've never flown one. I've flown worse. Her voice is ice. Get me the vectors. Copy. Stand by. In the cabin, passengers are listening over the intercom. Grant is pale. Walter is silent. Vanessa is staring mouth open. And Brad's live stream 6 million viewers, all watching, all waiting. James looks at Kesha. What did they mean 17 saves? Kesha doesn't answer. She's already calculating. Altitude 24,000 feet. Storm I 40 miles northeast. Glide ratio 17:1. Time to impact 8 minutes. She pulls the yoke left. Banks the plane 20 degrees. Where are you going? James asks. Into the storm. What? The eye. It's the only place calm enough to attempt a restart. That's insane. It's physics. And in the back of her mind, she's counting. 1 save, 2, 3, 17. This will be 18. James has 10 seconds to decide trust the woman who just took command with zero proof or override her and try to fly this himself. What would you do? Drop your answer below because in 8 minutes, 312 lives depend on it. James Wilson stares at Kesha. His hands hover over the yoke, trembling. He's never flown with someone like this. Someone who radiates authority without saying a word. Someone who makes the cockpit feel smaller just by being in it. Are you sure about this? He asks quietly. Kesha's eyes never leave the instruments. No, but it's the only option we have. What if the restart doesn't work? Then we glide as far as we can and hope Dover's runway is long enough. James swallows. And if it's not? Kesha finally looks at him. Her eyes are calm. Too calm. Then I've crashed before. I know how to walk away. James doesn't know if that's reassuring or terrifying. Behind them, Grant is slumped against the bulkhead, his face buried in his hands. Walter Kane stands in the doorway, silent now watching. Vanessa has retreated to her seat, and Harold is still standing there, arms crossed, a faint smile on his face. Colonel, Harold says, you need anything from us. Clear the door, Kesha replies. And keep everyone calm. No panic. Panic kills. Harold nods. You heard her. Everyone out. Let her work. Walter hesitates. But we don't even know if She is. Harold says firmly. I flew Hornets. I know a pilot when I see one. Now move. Walter backs away. Grant doesn't move. He's frozen useless. Page appears, gently takes Grant's arm. Sir, you need to return to your seat. He lets her lead him away like a child. The cockpit is quiet now, just Kesha and James. Okay, Kesha says, her voice steady. First, we need to stabilize our glide. Right now, we're descending at 1,400 feet per minute. I want to get that down to 1,200. That buys us time. How do we do that without thrust? Pitch control. We're going to find the sweet spot nose angle that maximizes lift without bleeding too much speed. She adjusts the yoke. Tiny movements, micro corrections. Watch the vertical speed indicator. Tell me what you see. James leans forward. 1,400, 1,350, 1,300. Good. Now fuel status. I need exact numbers. James scans the gauges. 3,200 pounds total. That's maybe 40 minutes at cruise. But we're not at cruise. No. We're in a glide. Fuel isn't burning. It's just sitting there. Keisha's fingers dance over the throttle controls, both engines offline, but the fuel system is still active. Here's what we're going to do. At 20,000 feet, we're going to attempt a windmill restart on engine 1. Windmill restart. Use the airflow through the dead engine to spin the turbines. If we get enough RPM, we can introduce fuel and relight it. It's a technique used in fighters when you lose an engine in combat. James's eyes widen. I've never heard of that on a 747. Because it's never been done. On a 747. So we're improvising, yes. James exhales slowly. Okay, I trust you. Keisha glances at him. Don't trust me yet. Trust me when we're on the ground. She keys the radio. Andrews Spectre. I need weather data for the storm eye. Exact coordinates, wind speed, and diameter. Commander Rodriguez responds immediately. Spectre eye is located at coordinates 52.3 north, 28.7 west. Diameter approximately 15 nautical miles. Winds inside the eye are calm, less than 10 knots. But the wall, he pauses, the wall is Category 5, 160-knot winds. Hail, lightning. You'll have maybe a 30-second window to punch through. Copy that. I'll take it. Spectre. I have to ask, have you ever flown a commercial aircraft before? Negative. Silence on the other end. Then, Jesus. Andrews, I've flown through worse with less. I need you to trust me. Another pause. You have our full support. Dover is standing by. Runway is foamed. Fire trucks are positioned. Medical is en route for your captain. Copy. Spectre out. Kesha looks at James. You ready? He nods, even though he's not. Then let's go find that eye. Kesha banks the plane left, heading northeast. The turbulence increases as they approach the storm's core. The airframe groans. Passengers scream, but Kesha's hands are steady. James, I need you to monitor our descent rate and airspeed. Call out any changes. Copy. And I need you to manage the APU auxiliary power unit. We'll need it for the restart. James flips, switches, his confidence slowly returning. APU is online. Generators are good. Excellent. Kesha adjusts the rudder trim, compensating for the single-engine drag. Even though both engines are off, the aerodynamic imbalance is still there. Now listen carefully. When we hit the eye, we'll have 30 seconds of calm. In that window, I need you to execute the restart checklist. I'll handle the flight controls. What if it doesn't work? Then we glide to Dover and pray the runway is long enough. James takes a deep breath. You said you've done this before. The windmill restart. Yes, in combat. Kesha doesn't answer right away. Her eyes are distant, focused on something beyond the instruments. Afghanistan, 2018, 2 surface-to-air missiles, lost both engines, had to restart mid-flight while evading a 3rd missile. James stares at her. Both engines. How? I didn't think. I just did it. She glances at him. That's the secret, James. When everything's falling apart, you stop thinking and you start doing. She keys the radio again. Andrews, Spectre. Request you authenticate my call sign for the passengers. They need to know who's flying this plane. A different voice comes on, older female with steel in every syllable. United 447, this is General Patricia Hayes, Air Operations Command, Pentagon. Confirm you have Spectre at the controls. James keys the mic, his voice shaking. Affirmative, General. She's in the captain's seat. Put her on. Kesha takes the mic. General Hayes, it's been a while. Spectre. There's warmth in the general's voice, relief. When I heard your call sign, I didn't believe it. You disappeared off the grid 2 years ago. I took a break, ma'am. Clearly not long enough. Hayes laughs short, sharp. Never long enough for people like us. Listen, I need to confirm your identity for the passengers. Are you prepared to go on record? Affirmative. State your full name, rank, and service record. Kesha's voice is calm, clear. Lieutenant Colonel Kesha Washington, United States Air Force. Call sign Spectre. 500 hours in F-22 Raptors. 17 successful saves during Operation Tempest Shield, including a C-130 crew I talked down through a sandstorm while under fire. Last deployment, Afghanistan, 2019. The cabin speakers are on. Every passenger hears this, every single one. In row 12, Brad Finch's live stream explodes. The chat scrolls so fast it's unreadable. Holy shit, she's real. 17 saves. She's a legend. We doubted her. Harold Peterson is grinning. He leans over to his wife. I told you. Walter Kane is pale, staring at the ceiling. He can hear every word. And he realizes he tried to stop her. In first class, Grant Harlan is motionless. Vanessa is looking at him with something between pity and disgust. You tried to ground a war hero, she whispers. Grant says nothing. There's nothing to say. General Hayes continues. Spectre, for the record, is it true you saved a C-130 crew by guiding them over radio while simultaneously evading hostile fire? Affirmative, ma'am. They couldn't see through the sandstorm. I talked them through the approach step by step. They landed with 0 injuries. And how many total lives have you saved? 17 aircraft, 209 souls. The cabin is silent now, not from fear, from awe. Hayes' voice softens. Colonel Washington, you have full authorization to command that aircraft. All military and civilian assets are at your disposal. Bring them home. Copy that, General. I will. Keisha sets the mic down, looks at James. Feel better now? James nods, speechless. Behind them, Harold steps forward. He's holding something. Keisha's duffel bag. It was stowed under her seat, and Paige brought it forward. Colonel? Harold says, this fell out when Paige grabbed your bag. He holds up a challenge coin, bronze worn at the edges. On one side, the emblem of Nellis Air Force Base. On the other, Operation Tempest Shield 17 saves. And beside it, a dog tag. Simple, stamped metal. LT Col K, Washington, USF, 05, Spectre. Kesha takes them, clips the dog tag around her neck, pockets the coin. Thank you, she says quietly. Harold salutes. Keisha returns it. And for the first time since this nightmare began, James Wilson feels something he hasn't felt in an hour. Hope. The radio crackles again. Commander Rodriguez, his voice urgent. Spectre, we have confirmation from JSOC Joint Special Operations Command. They've authenticated your file. You're cleared for any tactical decisions. Repeat any decisions. Keisha doesn't smile, but her grip on the yoke relaxes just slightly. Copy Andrews. Appreciate the support. James glances at her. JSOC knows you. They know everyone who's saved their people. In the cabin, Paige Scott is making an announcement over the intercom. Her voice is steady now, no longer shaking. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to assure you that we are in the best possible hands. The pilot currently commanding this aircraft is Lieutenant Colonel Kesha Washington, a decorated combat pilot with over 500 hours in fighter jets and 17 successful emergency saves. She has full authorization from the Pentagon and the Air Force. We are going to make it through this. The reaction is immediate. Some passengers start clapping. Not loud, not confident, but it's something. A spark of hope in the dark. Others are crying. Relief, guilt, shame. Walter Kane unbuckles his seatbelt, walks to the front. Paige tries to stop him, but he waves her off. He reaches the cockpit, stands in the doorway. Colonel Washington, he says, his voice cracking. I was wrong. I doubted you. I stood in your way. I'm sorry. Kesha doesn't turn around. Her eyes are fixed on the instruments. Altitude 22,000 feet. Airspeed 240 knots. Descent rate 1,200 feet per minute. Apology noted, she says flatly. Now sit down and buckle up. We're about to hit the storm wall. Walter nods, retreats. Vanessa Harlan appears next, her face pale, her eyes red. Colonel? My husband. She trails off, unable to finish. Your husband almost got everyone killed, Keisha says, still not looking at her. But we'll deal with that on the ground. For now, sit down. Vanessa leaves without another word. Brad Finch is still filming, but the tone of his stream has changed. He's not mocking anymore. He's narrating, voice hushed, respectful. 6 million people are watching this right now. 6 million. And we're about to witness something that's never been done before. A 747 gliding on 0 engines, piloted by a woman who was dismissed, doubted, insulted, and she's about to save us all. The chat has shifted too. She's a hero. We don't deserve her. Grant Harlan should be arrested. Harold sits down next to his wife, takes her hand. We're going to make it. How do you know? Because I've seen that look before. On squadron leaders. On pilots who've been through hell and walked out the other side. She's not hoping we make it. She knows we will. In the cockpit, Keisha is counting down. James storm wall in 90 seconds. You see it. James looks out the windscreen. The wall is visible now, a towering, churning mass of black clouds lit from within by lightning. It looks like the end of the world. I see it. Okay. When we punch through, it's going to get violent. Hail, wind, shear, lightning strikes. The plane will shake. Alarms will go off. Ignore all of it. Just focus on the checklist. Can you do that? James nods. Yes, ma'am. Good. Because once we're in the eye, we have 30 seconds. That's it. 30 seconds to restart the engine, or we're out of options. Understood. Keisha adjusts her grip on the yoke. Her breathing slows. In for 4. Hold. Out for 4. She's done this before. Not in a 747, not with 300 lives behind her, but the principle is the same. Find the calm. Execute the plan. Don't think. Just do. 60 seconds, she says. The turbulence increases. The plane shudders. Passengers grip their armrests, their seatbelts each other. Dr. Catherine Reed has strapped Captain Mitchell into a jump seat in the galley. He's stable, barely. Unconscious, but breathing. She stays beside him, one hand on his pulse, the other gripping a handrail. 40 seconds. The windscreen darkens. They're entering the outer edge of the wall. Rain hammers the glass. Hail follows chunks of ice the size of golf balls, slamming into the fuselage with sounds like gunfire. Bang, bang, bang. 30 seconds. Lightning flashes so close it leaves after images. The plane drops 200 feet in an instant. Screams erupt. Oxygen masks swing wildly. Keisha pulls back on the yoke, stabilizing. Hold on. Almost through. 20 seconds. The plane is shaking so violently that James can barely read the instruments. His teeth rattle. His vision blurs. But Keisha is rock steady. 10 seconds. The wall is thickest here. The darkest. The worst. And then they punch through. Into the eye. The shaking stops. The noise cuts off. The sky outside is clear. Not blue, but lighter. Gray. Calm. It's like stepping from a war zone into a cathedral. We're in, James breathes. We're actually in. Kesha doesn't celebrate. She's already moving. Start the clock. 30 seconds. Execute the restart checklist. Now. James snaps into action. Engine 1 fuel valve open. Ignition on. N1 RPM monitoring. The engine turbines are spinning, driven by the airflow. Slowly. 10%, 15%, 20%. Come on, James mutters. Come on, 25%, 30%. Fuel flow engaged, James says, flipping switches. Igniters armed, 35%, 40%. Keisha watches the RPM gauge. They need 50% before they can introduce fuel. Any lower, and it won't light. It'll just flood the engine. 45%, James calls out. Almost there. The eye is small. They're already halfway across. 15 seconds left. 50%, James says. Fuel introducing now. He presses the button. For 3 seconds, nothing happens. Then the engine coughs, sputters, the turbines whine, and then it roars to life. Thrust returns. The plane surges forward, the nose lifts. Engine start, James shouts. We have engine 1. The cabin erupts in cheers, crying, applause. Kesha exhales. Good. Now let's get out of this eye before it closes on us. She banks the plane hard, right aiming for the opposite side of the wall. They have maybe 10 seconds before they hit turbulence again, but this time they have power. This time they have a chance. They punch through the far side of the storm wall. The turbulence returns, but it's manageable now. With one engine running, Keisha has control. She can climb, she can maneuver, she can survive. James, what's our fuel state? James checks. 2,800 pounds. Enough for maybe 30 minutes. Dover is 40 minutes away. James's face falls. So we're still short. Yes, but we're not dead yet. Kesha keys the radio. Andrew's Spectre. Engine 1 restarted. We're climbing to flight level 200. Request direct vectors to Dover. Spectre copy restart. Congratulations. Vectors as follows, heading 085 descend and maintain flight level 180. Dover is 90 miles runway. 32 is clear and foamed. Copy. 085 180. Keisha adjusts the heading. The plane responds smoothly now. It feels almost normal. But she knows better. One engine, low fuel, damaged aircraft. They're not safe yet. James, I need you to calculate our fuel burn rate. Be precise. James pulls up the data. At current power setting and altitude, we're burning about 60 pounds per minute. Keisha does the math instantly. That gives us 47 minutes. We need 40 to reach Dover. That's cutting it close. What if we run out before we land? Then we glide the last 20 miles and hope the runway's long enough. James swallows. You make it sound easy. It's not. But it's possible. And possible is all we need. She glances back into the cabin. Through the cockpit door, she can see passengers. Some are smiling. Some are still crying. Harold gives her a thumbs up. Paige mouths, "Thank you." But Grant Harlan is slumped in his seat staring at nothing. Keisha turns back to the instruments. And then the master caution light flashes. Ding. "What now?" James mutters, scanning the panel. "Hydraulics," Keisha says, reading the indicator. System A is showing low pressure. James checks the gauges. It's dropping. Slowly, but it's dropping. Can we land on System B alone? Technically, yes, but if we lose B2, we lose flight controls. Kesha's jaw tightens. How long do we have? At this rate, maybe 20 minutes before System A fails completely. And if B fails, we have manual reversion. But landing a 747 on manual reversion is nearly impossible, I know. Keisha adjusts the throttle reducing power slightly to conserve fuel. We're going to have to land fast. One shot. No go-around. James nods, his hands shaking again. I've never landed on one engine. You're about to learn. The radio crackles. Spectre Andrews. Be advised, Dover is reporting winds 270 at 25, gusting to 40. Crosswind. You're going to have a rough approach. Copy that. We'll manage. But James can hear the edge in her voice. One engine, low fuel, failing hydraulics, crosswind. This isn't just difficult. It's borderline suicidal. Colonel, he says quietly, what are our chances? Kesha doesn't answer right away. She's staring at the instruments running simulations in her head. Approach speed, flare height, crosswind correction, brake energy, stopping distance. Finally, she says, 70%. 70. If everything goes right. And if it doesn't, Kesha looks at him. Her eyes are calm, resolved. Then I've survived 3 crashes. This would be the 4th. James doesn't find that comforting. The minutes crawl by. Altitude 18,000 feet. Distance to Dover 60 miles. Fuel 100 pounds. They're going to make it. Barely, but they'll make it. And then the fire alarm screams again. Ding, 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 ding. No, Keisha whispers. No, not now. James stares at the panel. Engine 1, fire warning. Is it real or a false alarm? James checks the secondary indicators. EGT is spiking. It's real. We have a fire. Kesha's hands tighten on the yoke. We can't shut it down. If we lose this engine, we're gliding again, and we don't have the altitude to make Dover. But if the fire spreads, I know. The engine temperature gauge climbs. 700 degrees. 750. 800. Kesha, we have to shut it down, James says, his voice rising. If that engine explodes, it won't. You don't know that I do. Kesha's voice is steel. I've flown with engines on fire before. I know how much heat they can take. We have time. How much time? Enough. James looks at her terrified. This is insane. Yes, but it's also our only option. So trust me. James wants to argue, wants to reach over and shut down the engine himself, but something in her voice stops him. She's not guessing. She's not hoping. She knows. So he sits back, and he trusts her. The temperature climbs. 850 degrees, 900. The cabin is silent. Every passenger can hear the alarms. They know something's wrong. Brad's live stream engine fire. We're going to die. She can't save us. Harold closes his eyes. Prays. Dr. Reed holds Captain Mitchell's hand. He's still unconscious. Maybe that's a mercy. Vanessa is crying. Grant is frozen. And in the cockpit, Kesha is counting. Altitude 12. 1,000 feet, distance 30 miles. Fuel 400 pounds, EGT 950 degrees. James, she says calmly, when we land, I need you to have the fire trucks ready at the end of the runway. The engine is going to be cherry red. It might ignite the grass. You're still planning to land. I'm planning to land evacuate and watch this plane burn from a safe distance. But first, we have to get there. EGT $1,000 degrees. The engine is screaming now. The sound is wrong. Metallic. Strained. Andrews Spectre. We have an engine fire. EGT is 1,000 and climbing. I'm not shutting it down. Repeat, I am not shutting it down. Have fire suppression ready on landing. Rodriguez's voice is tense. Spectre, that's a bad idea. It's the only idea. Out. James is gripping his armrest so hard his knuckles are white. Kesha, if that engine fails, then I glide. I've done it before. Not with 300 people behind you. No. But there's a first time for everything. Altitude 8 Ursula feet, distance 15 miles. EGT 1050 degrees. The gauge is in the red, past the red, into the danger zone, and then the temperature plateaus. 1050, holding. James stares. It's not climbing anymore. Fire's reached equilibrium. It's burning, but it's contained. We're okay. Are you sure? No. But I'm landing anyway. Kesha keys the mic. Dover Tower Spectre, 5 miles out. Request straight in approach runway 32. Spectre, you're cleared to land. Winds 270 at 30, gusting 40. Runway is foamed. Fire trucks are standing by. Copy. Kesha pulls the throttle back. The engine whines, protesting, but it holds. The nose drops. The runway appears in the distance, a thin strip of gray surrounded by foam. James gear down. James pulls the lever. 3 thumps. 3 green lights. Gear down and locked. Flaps 20. Flaps 20. The plane slows. The crosswind hits, pushing them sideways. Kesha corrects with rudder and aileron, fighting to keep the nose aligned with the runway. Altitude 500 feet, airspeed 160 knots. Flaps 30. Flaps 30. 300 feet. The plane is shaking. The engine is screaming. The wind is howling, but Keisha's hands are steady. 200 feet. Come on, she whispers. Come on. 100 feet. She pulls back on the yoke. Flares. The nose rises. The main gear touches. The plane slams into the runway. Hard. Passengers jolt forward. Overhead bins pop open. Someone screams, but they're down. Kesha slams the brakes. Deploys the spoilers. The plane skids. Tires smoking foam, spraying everywhere. The engine explodes. Not catastrophically, but the turbine disintegrates, sending shrapnel into the wing. Flames erupt. Fire trucks race alongside spraying foam. The plane slides and slides and slides and finally stops. The cabin is silent. And then cheers, sobs, applause. They made it. They're alive. The plane sits motionless on the Dover runway, surrounded by fire trucks, foam, and emergency vehicles. The burning engine is already being doused white foam, cascading over twisted metal, hissing as it meets fire. Inside the cockpit, Keisha unbuckles her harness. Her hands are steady. No tremor. No shake. She's done. James is staring at the instruments as if he can't believe they're really on the ground. We made it. Yes. You landed a 747 with one engine on fire in a crosswind with failing hydraulics. Yes. That's... He trails off, searching for words. That's impossible. Kesha stands, stretches her back. It was possible enough. She steps out of the cockpit into the cabin. The moment she appears, the entire plane erupts. Applause. Not polite, not scattered, thunderous. 312 people on their feet, clapping, crying, shouting. Harold Peterson is the first to reach her. He salutes, tears streaming down his face. Colonel, I've flown for 22 years, and I've never seen anything like that. Never. Keisha returns the salute. You would have done the same. No, ma'am, I wouldn't have. Because I couldn't. He grips her shoulder. You're a legend. You know that, right? Keisha doesn't respond. She just nods once, then moves past him. Paige Scott is next, wrapping her in a hug. Thank you. Thank you so much. You kept everyone calm, Kesha says. That mattered just as much. Dr. Catherine Reed approaches, still pale from working on Captain Mitchell. Colonel, the captain is stable. The paramedics are taking him now. He's going to survive because you got us down in time. Kesha looks past her, sees the paramedics wheeling Mitchell out on a stretcher. His eyes are open. He's conscious, weak but alive. He sees her. Mouths, thank you. She nods. Walter Kane stands a few rows back, wringing his hands. When Keisha's eyes land on him, he flinches. Colonel, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Completely wrong. You were scared, Keisha says simply. Scared people make bad decisions. But you're alive. Learn from it. Walter nods, unable to speak. And then she sees him. Grant Harlan. He's still in his seat. First class. 2A. His face is gray, his eyes hollow. Vanessa is gone already off the plane. She didn't even look back. Keisha walks up the aisle, stops beside him. He can't meet her eyes. Mr. Harlan, she says quietly. He looks up. His voice is barely a whisper. I'm sorry. For what? For everything. For doubting you. For blocking you. For almost killing everyone because I was too arrogant to admit I didn't know what I was doing. Kesha studies him. No anger in her expression. No satisfaction. Just nothing. You'll have plenty of time to apologize, she says. The FAA will want to talk to you. So will the DOD. Interfering with a flight crew during an emergency is a federal offense. Grant's face crumples. I know I deserve it. Yes, you do. She turns to leave, then pauses, looks back. Mr. Harlan, I've spent 17 years proving I belong in places where people like you don't think I do. And every single time people like you get in my way, you try to stop me, discredit me, silence me. Her voice is calm, but there's steel underneath. But here's what you don't understand. I don't need your permission. I don't need your approval. I just need you to get out of the way. Grant says nothing. There's nothing to say. Keisha walks off the plane. Behind her, Brad Finch lowers his phone. His live stream is still running. 8 million viewers now. He's been recording everything. The landing, the applause, the confrontation with Grant. He looks at the camera, his voice subdued. If you're watching this, you just witnessed history. A woman who was dismissed, mocked, and blocked, she just saved 312 lives. And the man who tried to stop her, he's about to face the consequences. The chat scrolls, justice. She's a hero. Grant should go to prison. I'm crying. Brad ends the stream. For the first time in his career, he doesn't ask people to like and subscribe. He just sits there, thinking.